So there's a picture making the rounds, and it just goes perfect with this week's topic. It's a picture of I don't know, he's a special police or whatever. I think it's a British thing, go figure. But he's in a vest, and he's got all his equipment there, and he's ready to go. Well, he's got this 6-inch mohawk, and the old guard is just all over this guy. You know who I'm talking about, guys that are still stuck in 1950 where they drive around in their oversized cars, going to the lounge after work to hit on somebody while their poor wife is at home whipping him up a batch of macaroons. Anyway, they're tearing him up, and it got me thinking, about our culture, the corporate security culture, and how we've tried to avoid instant judgment. Over the years, we've had some people that would never be considered for policing or other things, and it's a shame because you miss out on decent people. We have done our best in corporate security to, in the interview process and the recruiting process, go over those corporate questions that you have to ask to make the up-ups happy. But then take a moment to get to know the person, slide that stuff away, do it because you have to, but slide it away, and then just talk to the person and get to know them. And quite often the results are pretty good. I'll give you 2 stories. One is a story of a guy named Jeff Truax. God rest his soul. He passed away a few years ago. Jeff was a chain smoker. He was a recovering alcoholic. His life had taken such a turn for the worst that he was living in a YMCA at the time. True story. And Jeff, all he ever did was come to work every day, do the job well and consistently, didn't complain about much. He was liked by his fellow officers. He was liked by the people he served. Outside of the department, the people we served, they liked him. And that's all he did every day. And then he'd go home, he'd come back again, do it again, day after day after day. That's who he was. He was with us at least a decade. And now, his beautiful white polyester shirt with the tin badge on it, it was more of a yellow in some cases because of the chain smoking. But he was a performer. He performed well. If you looked on the schedule, and he was in that building over there. Jeff's in that building. I got no worries. Jeff's got it under control. Dependability, and that was a good thing. We were lucky to have him, Another person, I won't give you his name. He's still employed and he's young and he might get embarrassed, but he came to us about 4 summers ago. I was one of the people who trained him, nice kid, and he had a mohawk. Oh, dear God, he had a mohawk, but all he ever did was come to work every day, do the job on the floor, do it well, didn't complain about much, and he was good enough to where we looked into his background a little bit and found out, he was kind of techie, kind of creative, and we were like, what, let's see if he'd like to try his hand in the Security Operations Center. And so he got trained in there. And he worked well in there, dispatching, monitoring alarms. And that was 4 years ago, and I think he's still there. Oh, by the way, him and his mohawk are part of the department's Council on Diversity and Inclusion and Engagement. Yeah. Why? Because we looked at the mohawk, but we said, okay, what else is going on with this person? We were willing to give this person a chance. And it worked. We were lucky to have him, just as we were with Jeff. Now, I'm telling you this not to say that a perfectly good uniform, it's not the answer to everything, and it's not the answer to everything if you have somebody come in that looks terrible. I'm not saying go hire a bunch of people who look awful. Don't get me wrong. But I will say this. I just gave you 2 stories about non-perfect candidates. I'm thinking Hitler here, I'm sorry, but 2 examples of non-perfect candidates who worked out just fine, as opposed to some of the stories of perfectly dressed and groomed people who screwed up royally, which I could never tell you until I'm either retired or on my deathbed. Those are the stories I wish I could tell you, but I can't. Anyway, That's enough for today. I gotta go. Still stuffed up. Hope you enjoyed this. See you next time. Bye.